Shorts. Today I want to say something on camera and I'm going to own it. And I'm going to piss some people off right now, so you might want to sit down if you get offended easily. It's not as easy to say it. I honestly don't believe it. But my art is better than yours. Come on, let it sink in. Yeah? How'd that feel? Felt good? I'm sorry, that's silly as hell. But the reason why I bring it up is because I think, in the martial arts world, everyone has come across at least one person that has flat out said that, if not just acted that way. Now, positive, negative, I'm not here to say that either or, just to point out that there are people like that. And it's definitely a topic to really consider, because it can be detrimental to a particular student if they genuinely and without any doubt in their mind believe wholeheartedly that their art is the very best and that they can do no wrong because of it, because they know it, because they are a black belt in their system. And yet we hear so many stories from various people that black belts do get beat up in the streets. UFC fighters do lose fights outside of the ring and even in the ring. But why? What are the factors that go on that make people believe that their stuff really is the very best? And how does that become a pitfall for them? Well, even if they don't fight, if they don't get into altercations because they believe they are the best, if they visit another school, and I've heard this happen too, they're very eager to show you what they do. They're very adamant about what they do, and they believe in their art. And you should. You should definitely believe in your art, because even in the Blade of Mind we say, if you don't believe in it, it's not going to work. The moment that you doubt, it's going to fail. But that's your belief. That doesn't mean that everybody else has to believe it too. And oftentimes, we believe something so hard and we're so eager to put our point across that we come off as arrogant, as egotistic. We don't mean to. And I include myself in that, and I use the word we because I think at one point or another, we have done that. And if you haven't, bless your heart, you're a much better person than I am. But I can for a fact say that I have walked around with a big chest, just swinging all the way, everywhere that I went. If you didn't get that reference, don't worry about it. Because I genuinely believe that my stuff was good. And in my defense, I will say that I didn't go around thinking that I was, or that my art was better than everyone else. It was that I believed myself to be better than everyone else because of my art. And I think that's one of the keys to where this really grows and falls apart. It is up to the individual. There are many great arts out there. There are many specialized arts for specific things, and there are masters out there that are phenomenal in various aspects of what it comes to the human body. There are people that can toss you with a finger. There are people that can break something with but a slight push. There are those that can knock you out before you can even see their shoulder move. There are specialists that can do incredible things with their art. But it's not the art. It's them. It's the people. If the art itself was what made somebody better, stronger, faster, or just a badass in whatever case, in whatever sport and or martial practice that they're involved in, then there would be a higher percentage of people from that same school and it would be consistent. All their black belts would be world champions. All their masters would have world champions under their belts. Because if it was the art, those would be the numbers. And again, I'm not trying to say anything negative about anyone specifically, but if you think about it, if you really think that the art itself, that the ideas, the way that it's taught, the information, is what makes somebody phenomenal, then there would be consistent stats, very high stats for that particular school, for that particular style. And I'm sure that right now some of you are probably looking into their history books or thinking in their head, well, I have this many championships, or I was in a class where 9 out of the 10 students were all ranked champions. And that's awesome. That's great. Is that still the same with your school now? And if it is, maybe you're proving me wrong. But, in my opinion, it's the individual that makes something great. You can have a bad teacher and a great student, and that student will still excel. You can have an amazing teacher and a horrible student, and that student will get nowhere. Because it's upon that individual, the student, the person, to put the effort in, to put the time, to work it, to grind it, to understand it. And even if there isn't understanding, there's always talent. Because I don't care who you are or what you do. There are just some people that are far better at it than us. Naturally, without much effort. And I hate those people with a passion. Because I feel like I've worked really hard to where I am. And I've trained many, many hours to get as far as I have. And in my opinion, I still have a long, long way to go, and there's still so much more for me to learn. But that's because I've been humbled. I've been humbled by a good instructor that didn't want me to go down that road, because he felt that if he allowed me to continue letting my ego dominate my sense of accomplishment, then I would end up like one of those stories of somebody who thought they knew something, somebody who believed that they were really good at what they did and ended up getting killed. Because they're far more likely to step up and confront somebody when they believe that they can win. Or even worse, when they know that they can win. Because the truth of the matter is, until it happens, you have no idea. Whether it's in the ring, whether it's in the street, until you're walking away from it, until it's done, until the final bell, until the final count, you won't know the outcome. Now, for those of you who are in the sports, in the martial world that way, who have great careers, you have to consider all the variables that are involved in it. Sure, your efforts played a big part, your skills and the arts that you learned, your athleticism, definitely. But how long do those things last? How long before your body starts breaking down, before age gets the best of you? How much did your manager or the promoters have a say in whether you won or lost? Did they put you up against a newbie or a bunch of newbies, people that didn't have the experience that you did, and you were able to dominate them or overwhelm them quickly or effectively? Did you really fight the very best every single time? Did they fight at their very best every single time? There are a lot of things that could be involved in any sort of fight, whether it's with a referee or out in the streets. And no two are the same. One of my favorite boxing matches was Pacquiao versus Marquez. They fought, what, 3 different times? 3 different outcomes, 3 different fights. They were the same guys. Same size ring, same size weight on gloves. but yet every single time was different. What changed? Well, their mentality, their health at that time could have been a little bit different. They could have created a different game plan for each single fight. There are so many things that we are unaware of. We saw the end result, but that was it. We only know that after it happened. We don't know that prior, and there was no guessing involved. Statistically, if there's only a certain amount of times that you will win or lose a fight, depending on whether that person is trained or untrained, that's one thing. And that's just in sports, because in the street, you don't have any of that information. You don't have any of the variables. And even if you spend most of your life winning every single fight that you possibly can, how much of that is really pure art? How much of that can you say was your sensei's doing? Or was that just you? I've won every single fight I've been in. Yeah, you're 6'4" and 285 pounds. You go to the gym every day, you're ripped, you're jacked, you're ready for this. Versus somebody who's 200 pounds and 5'5". Those things make a difference, and that's an extreme example. Don't get me wrong, I'm very well aware that those two things don't really fit. But those are two individuals that exist in this world. If that 5'5" guy, 200 pounds, has a crappy attitude and a big ego, he's getting into a lot of fights. He might win a lot of them, depending on how scrappy or how willing he is to get down. Versus a 6'4" guy who has the build, who has the stamina, who has the skills, they can still lose a fight. It's not predetermined, it's not set in stone. But at the end of the day, it's the character of the person that's going to make that huge difference. It's going to be whether or not they're willing to go that far if they didn't initiate the fight. Or if they initiated the fight, did they throw the first punch? Did they sucker punch that guy, knock them out in one go, and all of a sudden, yeah, I won. I won every fight I've been in. Really? You sucker punch people all the time and you consider yourself a winner? Not to me. But that's just my opinion. But I definitely think that it's something to consider as an instructor and as a student. Is it a disservice to build up your student to believe that they are just the very best at what they do? Is it right or wrong to feed information to someone so well that in their mind, nothing outside of that will ever come close? Nothing outside of that will ever match? I personally think it's wrong. I think it's a disservice to students to build them up so much, because one day they may find that one experience where they realize, okay, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Maybe it isn't the art that made me this good. But maybe I was only good in certain parameters, with certain criteria, with gloves and referees. But now I'm in a life or death situation. My ego got me here when I could have walked away, when I could have swallowed my pride and said, I'm not going to get involved in this. But because I'm a winner, but because I am X amount of ranking, I got this. And then there's a story on the news about some martial artist that got killed in a street fight because he believed he could win. And that's my personal take on it. And we've heard way too much in reference to the stories and examples and things of successful martial artists, but even the ones that do it on a regular basis, like a UFC fighter, even the top guys lose fights. Sometimes it's age, sometimes it's ego, sometimes it's lack of preparedness, sometimes they're just having a bad day. Like anyone at their job Because for those guys, that is their job. And that's all it takes to lose. But if we develop the person to understand that it is their efforts that make something truly great, that the art itself, as wonderful as it is, as rich in history as they are, cannot flourish without that person. So it isn't the art that makes the person, it's the individual that makes the art shine. Like all information and all guidance, it's not the source that matters. It's what that person does with it that truly, truly makes it grow. And I think if we can somewhat agree on that, then we have a good footing to really grow beyond ourselves and become better individuals. Thank you for joining me on this Nain Shorts. I hope you guys had fun. Till next time. 3, 2, 1, cut!